They're epic, they're big.
They can be tiny as well.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about campaign games.
Well, me too. In this video we're gonna rank the best campaign/legacy games. There's multiple sessions where you have to just go into that game and finish it.
And usually some kind of progression from one game to another. You're leveling up your character, you're changing the board, you're unlocking new stuff.
We made a list of all those games, then we ranked them individually. And now we're gonna show you the top 10 that comes out when we combine these two lists, my rankings and yours.
Yeah.
10th place, 7th Continent.
What? In 7th Continent, you wake up and you have a curse upon you. You have to get rid of this curse. How do you do it?
By turning out tiles and exploring the island and searching for the cure. 7th Continent is a cooperative game where all of you try to survive together.
So it's like a choose your own adventure. So if I want to explore this cliff, I should open this card. If I want to go here, I will open this card. And just going through it, you're trying to solve the curse that you have upon yourself. There are different curses, story might go in different directions.
There's also a scavenging system where you get items and then you can combine them. And it's epic. There's a lot of cards, the island can get really big. You win if you cure the curse, but you never know how you will do that. Just explore, see what happens.
We picked this because of the sense of wonder you get from exploring this island, like opening new tiles, finding new things, meeting maybe somebody. Just the amount of different things that can happen throughout your journey is staggering.
9th place goes to Crew. Well, the Crew is the tiny thing I talked about, because it's not epic, it's not like big.
But it is. Crew is a simple trick-taking game, co-op trick-taking game, where you cannot talk.
All you have is cards, 4 different colors with numbers on them. You have to play 1 card each round. The highest number takes a trick. And it's a cooperative game where you have to make sure that these specific numbers or tricks are taken by a certain player. So for example, you will have to take up yellow 6.
And that is just the first scenario. Whole 50 different of them. Not something when you hear epic campaign game would come to your mind. It's gonna be the one that's gonna jump out of this list. But it still feels epic for such a small box to have so many different ways of playing a card game.
Great experience, one of my favorite co-ops ever. ISS number 8.
I'm surprised. ISS is this huge epic space exploration game where we as a humanity came together and built a spaceship to explore an ancient message from depths of outer space.
Once again, a cooperative game. You all work in a team and jump into a ship and then open up a book of space. Space. And choose where you want to go. You prepare before that.
Yeah. There's a separate phase where you manage the ship, you decide what to research, what crew to take with you. The whole game is divided into 2 parts, like ship management phase and the exploration phase.
It's a story game. There's a whole app with voiceover. The production is through the roof. It's epic. You just go from space to space, making dice checks, trying to get those combinations of dice that will unlock you different stories, abilities.
But we definitely picked this for its story and the voice narration above the gameplay.
Number 7, Welcome to the Moon.
Wow. And it's also another one that is not big and not something immediately would think of like a campaign game. Welcome to the Moon is flip and write game.
Basically, you will use cards, and these cards come in combinations, 1 number and 1 special ability. And you have to fill in your sheet with that number and use that ability. You usually will want to place numbers in like ascending order. If I choose a 3 this time, next time I will want to write in a higher number. That's the main premise.
So there's 8 different boards for each player that you play on going through the campaign. Plus, while going through the campaign, some added things will come into the game. And it just blows my mind how much out of this one simple mechanism can be squeezed out to make a campaign for a flip and write with a story that works.
First competitive game. So in Welcome to the Moon, everybody is
collecting points for themselves. You're like playing this one colony of people that have escaped Earth that's been hit by meteorites in space.
So number 6 is Clank Legacy.
Clank Legacy has no
Space.
Exactly. Clank Legacy is a deck building game where you are playing an adventurer that's going into a dungeon to grab an artifact and get out before the dragon kills you. And this is a competitive game where each player plays for themselves, trying to collect the most points.
All the good stuff is in the bottom of the dungeon, but there's also dragon there. You want to risk it and get that stuff, but how long should you be there? Because the dragon's getting angry.
So on your turn, you're gonna play your hand of cards that let you move, let you buy new cards, because this is a deck building game, and do other things. Meanwhile, while playing the game, after each game or during the game, you will add stickers, you will write something, you will open boxes, you will open envelopes, you will rip cards apart. It's just going to be a hectic hell of fun, because also
the game is not taking itself too seriously. It's really funny, it's good story there, and it will get a good laugh out of you.
And it's probably the best legacy game I've ever played. I did say probably, so I'm always have a way out.
Eon's Trespass Odyssey.
Eon's Trespass Odyssey.
This is my number one, but I completely get why it's number 5.
Well, mostly because of me playing it once for only an hour. And it took you how long to...
100 hours for the first scenario.
So I played 1%.
The story there is something I would compare to like Game of Thrones or like really good writing.
Okay, stop. Stop selling it to me. I know I'm not gonna play it anytime soon. And every time you're selling this, is like, you're making me feel
With
bad.
anytime soon, you mean never.
Right? That also qualifies.
There's exploration phase where you open up tiles similar to Seventh Continent and travel through land and see what's there, get resources. Then also there's the story part where you just meet different people, make choices that really matter and make you go into completely different directions. The story keeps you on your toes all the time. And the second part is the battle part where it's the boss battle.
Oh, it wasn't all. You weren't done. Oh, by all means, do tell me how more awesome it is.
Yeah. It's a cooperative game where all of you jump into a fight and try to defeat the big baddie.
By that you mean the rulebook and time finding and place finding.
It's a hobby in a hobby in a hobby.
Can we move on?
Why did we pick it? Because it's amazing.
I'm gonna play it.
You played it for an hour.
That's nothing, I barely scratched the surface.
No, you didn't even scratch it.
Exactly.
It didn't even make a dent. King's Dilemma. Competitive game. As competitive as it gets. Basically, it's a Game of Thrones simulator. All of you play a person on the King's Court.
Yeah, you represent your house, and your house is like objectives.
Somebody comes in and says, hey, there's a problem in the country, and this little boy stole just 3 grapes. What you gonna do with him?
Yeah, and then we vote, and then we make promises, and then we backstab those promises and people that we made them to, and then there's a new problem comes up, and this one's more serious.
Do you wanna punish him or do you wanna let him free? And then you vote for it. We each have different powers depending on our houses and how well we have played, and then we kinda try to convince each other, no, let's not do that. So it's just a voting game. That's the most important part. But the discussions, talks, the arguments, the emotions that you get out of it, it's amazing campaign game.
That game especially shines if you let go of the feeling that it's a game, but more of a like activity.
It's a role-play game.
Yeah, almost like a role-play game.
So if you like to argue, if you like to discuss things with your friends, if you all are just about having a good time, then this game is for you. Ale and something shiny.
Wow.
Wow, that's a freshie. In this game, you play a little rabbit girl.
Already sounds epic. Let's go.
And you see something shiny on top of a mountain.
That was in the name, kind of implied.
So it is a solo game that you can play cooperatively, no problems. I played it with 2 players, it was really fine, but you together make decisions. The whole thing you do is turn around one card, there's some situation and you answer it.
Sounds like King's Dilemma.
King's Dilemma, just much simpler and for you alone.
The deck gets recycled, and depending on your solutions, the card that you previously chose something might be replaced by something else. So you going constantly through this one deck. That is one day in game.
It's a game that makes you relaxed.
Because there's not a lot of management to keep track. Flip a card, decide, discard the card, or shuffle a new card in the deck and continue. Simple. And that story is more visual than actually with words, but the story is quite serious. Like immediately before I start playing, super sad stuff happens. Each of those scenarios has a different mini game to it, and they are very different. We're not gonna tell you what it is. It's a wonder to discover it yourself, and just the ingenuity of the designer to come up with all of that is...
And the whole new system, whole new game is made just for that one scenario. Then it goes away, then it's completely something new. I would say a masterpiece.
Definitely super unique. It's something shiny on this list.
Sleeping Gods!
Sleeping Gods is definitely the definition of an epic campaign game.
a cooperative game
where you play a crew of a ship that goes into a storm and mystically finds itself in like weird land.
It's also a story game where you have a book with map and you can travel to different places, wherever you want to almost. Go there, you open the bigger book with stories and read, okay, what happens there. Choices, where you get resources, where you get stuff, items, buy things, meet people, and progress in the story. And each time the story will be unique because there's a bunch of stuff to explore. You will never go to all the places, not possible. And there's also combat, very interesting combat there.
And it's a very family-friendly story, even though this game's hugely epic.
Yeah.
The drawings and everything, there are some serious things and people can die and monsters will die. Other than that, it's very accessible with your family.
The story will take you on this journey and your journey will be different than mine. Let's see which game did both of us rank really, really highly.
Which is the epicest of the epicestest.
So our both lists come together to say that number one is Oaths War. Playing the second time now, and I'm playing the second edition. They improved on different things, fixed some rules and other stuff.
The game's divided in two sides. There's the story side, choose your own adventure type of thing, and then there's the boss battling side, where you place one giant boss or smaller boss in the middle of the board, and then each of you start on the board, and you're using your abilities, rolling dice, shooting, fighting, throwing things around to kill that boss. And then you can upgrade your character, and again you repeat this loop of story, fighting for 20 whole chapters.
Imagine basically Eon's Trespass, everything I said about the awesomeness and why I like that game, make it more accessible. The rules are easier, it's much friendlier, it's just realistic. It has almost all the same great things. The story is amazing. There's voiceover with a professional voice actor from Game of Thrones, by the way. He does an amazing job to make this really immersive story feel even better. Characters each are very unique. You can choose between like 10 at least, more.
Yeah, there's a lot. More than you need.
Thank you for watching, and any surprises?
Ayla and something shiny.
Yeah.
And welcome to the moon also, that it's so high.